like you are with family. But if you're watching this live stream, let me ask you one question. Have you ever had a long day at work or production, or, maybe if you're Justin Guarini, that superstar that I just heard with Kim Walsh Phillips on her segment, and you just came home from a whole bunch of castings and you're sitting in front of your computer and you're trying to get work done, and you sit there for 2 hours and you feel like I felt like I was working, but I literally got nothing done. That's happened to me so many times, even times where I'm like, hey, I need to sit down and time block and get this task done, but I just feel like I'm not getting anywhere. In this segment, what I want to do for you is give you some simple key takeaways that will enable you to take action and actually move your business forward. The reason I say taking action is a lot of people know that there's things they need to accomplish. They have a vision of the life of the future, but they don't know what to do, or they don't actually do the things. And they feel like, well, I need to hire a coach. I need to take a program. I got to go to a networking event. And then they come back and they're still not moving forward, or they're still not taking action. So I'm going to break down some things that I did over the years to really help me realize, okay, there's some very simple basic actions I need to do to create a structure in my business. And I'm going to equate this to another thing that I'm very passionate about, which is jujitsu. A lot of people go into jujitsu, they get really scared. They enter a gym as a white belt. They see a whole bunch of black belts running around. They're like, are these guys going to beat me up? They have all these perceptions of mixed martial arts and this negative connotation of the engagement that they're about to partake in. Yet there's one simple thing that they need to do to start learning or partaking in the class. They need to start running around the gym, right? That's it. That's all they have to do, is they need to start jogging and warming up for the day. And then they need to look around at the people that are doing the thing that they're trying to do. And then they need to start mimicking the things that they're doing. And maybe they're running kind of side to side and loosening up a little bit. Maybe they're swinging their arms around, loosening up their shoulders. And then maybe they're getting on the ground and doing little rolls and trying to loosen up their body. Then they start feeling a little bit more comfortable. And then they get into a group of 5 or 10 people and they start realizing that, okay, now we're going to roll. Now we're going to practice an arm bar. We're going to drill an arm bar for 30 minutes. I've never done an arm bar before. And they're getting all these mind worms about like, well, is this guy going to break my arm? Like, how's this going to go? So a black belt comes over to them because they're a white belt. Black belts typically take care of white belts because they're really good at what they do and they're not going to hurt them. And they grab them and they show them, well, okay, this is how you typically interact with somebody. And guess what? When they push into you, if you push back, there's this adversity that happens and you're kind of not getting anywhere. But if you push into me and I just back up slowly and you fall into me, all of a sudden, your momentum is going to put you in a position where I'm in control. So think about that dynamic. Think about the black belt and think about the white belt. The black belt knows I do this, you do that, I will do this, and then you will do that forever, right? The black belt can actually stay like 3 to 4 moves ahead of you. The white belt realizes, oh no, I just fell forward. And now you've got me in a position where I'm in an arm bar. But what happens is the black belt actually will show the white belt, well, this is what led to that. Unbeknownst to you, as you were pushing into me, I was grabbing your elbow. And as I was holding your elbow and you fell into me, I was able to push your elbow across my body, thus taking my right leg and hooking your hips and turning your body and putting you into a position, right? Every single move in jiu-jitsu has a sequence of events that happens. Every move in business is a sequence of events that happens. And I think where a lot of people get paralyzed is they don't know the moves, they don't know the sequence, and they're terrified to take action because they don't want to make any mistakes. Action is the solution for adversity. And the reason I wanted to do this segment is I'm speaking to myself 10 years ago. A lot of my segments are stream of consciousness where I'm really trying to speak to mini Justin or future Justin and say, like, if I want to accomplish and be something that I aspire to be, there is a sequence of actions that I'm going to have to take to get there. I am going to feel adversity. I am going to get pulled into a black belt armbar in business. That is a fact. I'm going to hire employees that don't work out long term. I'm going to hire great employees that we may have conflict over short periods of time to develop incredible relationships that end up being with me for life. I'm going to have great clients that are super loyal and super honest. And I'm going to have terrible clients that ask me for half a point of commission at the very end of the deal at the closing table just because they think that my time is worthless. All of these things are very big dichotomies of each other. But in every instance, action is the solution for every one of those adversities, right? Or anything good that happens in your life. Because a lot of times you can get stuck in feeling like, well, I took action, something great happened. I don't need to do anything else for 2 to 4 weeks, which is an absolute lie. I'm going to give you a real life example of this. Last year, June 2022, the market absolutely tanked in Canada. As of March, April, May last year, the Bank of Canada started cranking interest rates. I bet if you're watching this in the States, you're like, that happened here too. Guess what? We're in the future. We are like 4 to 6 months ahead of you because the Bank of Canada kept raising rates and kept raising rates and kept raising rates. And we had just come out of one of the craziest peaks of the market we'd ever seen. 2017 to 2019, our market, Southwestern Ontario, Canada, absolutely popped. It's like the movie The Village, where like everybody was flying from Toronto to Detroit and they forgot about London. And all of a sudden they're like, oh, wait, London's an awesome town. And they have such a diversity of real estate and they're super cheap. And it was madness, 2017 to 2022. That 2020 COVID to 2022 spike where prices doubled got absolutely flatlined. And if you look at the historic data, we're actually back to the normal trend line. So 2020 to 2022 wasn't real, folks. I hate to break it to you. A lot of people felt like they had a lot more equity in their homes, started buying jet skis, landscaping packages, pools, Corvettes, all kinds of stuff because they're like, I'm rich, but they didn't actually sell their house. So it was on paper. So a lot of that equity got flatlined. So what happened? Buyer sentiment got absolutely destroyed. Buyers were like, well, they keep raising rates and I don't ever know when this is going to stop. So I'm not doing anything. Every seller out there that I was talking to was like, well, the comps in February say my house is worth $1 million. So I want $1 million. And it's like, well, the past comps don't work anymore. Like, we need to talk about what's happening now. And it doesn't matter where you price your house. Nobody may come and look at it. Like, the way we did our consultations changed. But what did agents do? I would say the majority of agents stuck their head in the sand, went on vacation, started freaking out and being like, well, this is the end. You know, we had a great run, folks. This isn't selling sunset anymore. A lot of agents that were getting licensed got into the industry and they're like, they saw TikToks, they saw Instagram, they saw the celebritization of our industry, and they were excited to just have money fall on them because it's so easy, right? What did we do? At Prime, we're built different. We're not agents like you would think. Every single agent on the Prime team is an agent and something else. So I'm an agent, but I do real estate and media. That is what I'm most known for. My buddy Victor Addis, the condo king, he knows bikes and rode on professional bike teams forever. He was in Italy with Team Canada last year, and he's known for just being somebody that loves the outdoors and loves activities. Lindsay Gowan, design-focused investor. She's an investor and a real estate agent. She has skills outside of just transacting in real estate. I can go on and on. Every single one of my team members had a skill set outside of just buying and trading homes. But what we're experts at are buying and trading homes. So what did our team do when we saw adversity? We didn't stick our head in the sands and just go to our other careers and say, hey, we're going to go out and just focus on that. I didn't just turn around and say, well, we have the production company. I could just start shooting a boatload of content and doing that as my primary business. We doubled down on what our actual ambition was, which is to be the most trusted name in real estate. When you hear the word real estate, I want you to call me and say, hey, Justin, I'm in Texas. I need somebody. Who do you know down here? Because I bet you I know somebody. Or if you want to buy, sell, or invest in our territory, I want you to say, hey, Justin, we're looking for a 30,000 commercial square foot facility. Do you do that? You may not think I do because of the beautiful houses you see on my Instagram, but my background's commercial. And we actually crush commercial real estate. You want to acquire farms, lands, all that stuff, right? So that is my ambition. But what action do I take when the market absolutely gets crushed? First thing we did was we ran a book club. We bought the book Shift by Keller Williams. I bought 20 copies of it. I distributed it to my team. And I was like, we're going back to school, folks. We're going to study the last 2 pivots in the marketplace. And we're going to figure out how to advise our clients and be different than everybody else who is just blaming the market. There is a way to sell. There is a way to advise buyers and sellers, and also yourself, right? Like, how do I empower my crew to get through a very tough time? There were 4 takeaways from that book club, and there was way more, but I'll share 4 really important ones. And this applies to anybody. If you're going through difficulty during market times, whether you're automotive, you're in venture capital, you're in real estate, like, it's everywhere, folks. Number one piece of advice was remargin your business. So we took action. We looked at our P&L. I did an entire segment on Breakfast with Champions last week on how to do this. We started looking at where are we spending money? And we were spending a ton of money on Facebook ads and Google lead generation, right? We used a strategy that I learned from a guy named James, Zillow Killer. Shout out to James, you're an absolute legend. Where we were running 70% of our ad budget towards lead generation, 20% of our ad budget to brand, and 10% retargeting. That 70%, though, we noticed was not converting like it was before. Why? Because nobody was buying, right? Those same people that were clicking on ads in February and wanted access to your new inventory, wanted access to homes because it was so hard to compete, it was crickets. So what we started doing was we started redeploying that budget in other places. Consumer education. What did people want? They didn't want to be sold something. They wanted to know what was happening. We opened up a market intelligence division at Prime, and we started pouring more effort into our newsletter to give people the information that they actually wanted. What's happening with the Bank of Canada? What do the interest rate hikes mean? What's happening with buyers? What's happening with sellers? What's my house worth now? Those were the questions we started answering. I started just slashing every expense that didn't make a lot of sense and remargining our business. So I could tell you this was one of the best things we've ever done at Prime. And it's actually setting us up for success 2025 to 2030 because it's forced us to grow. The evolution of what Prime is going to be 5.0 by the time we get to 2024, folks. Like if you knew some of the stuff we were working at, it's honestly 10 years of growth in a 2-year span because it was forced. It really made us like take a look at our income and our expenses. Are the things we're spending money on generating income or long-term growth? If not, redeploy those resources. Number 2, the second lesson we learned was this too shall pass. The more things change, the more they stay the same. I compare the real estate market to little kids playing soccer where you got a little beehive of kids, ball comes out and the whole beehive moves. Yeah, there's like one kid who's standing behind the defense. When the ball gets kicked out, they score. That's real estate, folks. A lot of people try to time the bottom. You will never be able to time the bottom and you'll never be able to time the top. It's just time in market. So what we started realizing was get super educated on what's happening from a macro perspective. Pay attention to bank collapses, pay attention to where businesses are relocating, job losses, job gains. Macro is super important, but the deals are micro. A lot of times buyers will enter a buyer's market where it doesn't seem like a lot selling, start lowballing everything. Property's $1 million. Here's an offer for $6 million. Sometimes you may get the deal. That's a unicorn. I think you need to understand the micro to be able to succeed in the macro. So we started realizing that as much as markets may be in that pocket, whatever you're working on now is what you're going to be doing in 60 to 90 days. So in order to stay ahead of the pack, just make sure that you're constantly educating yourself, but you're working for your future tomorrow. 2 other things we learned: massive opportunity. Even in the most negative times you could possibly imagine, there was more opportunity than we ever saw. We had more phone calls for people to join Prime than I think I've ever had in my career. Massive teams with like key players on those teams were calling me. I had other brokerages calling my team to try and recruit them. What I realized was this was a phenomenal opportunity because some of the wrong fit people that I had on the squad were not the right people for our culture anymore. And we actually said back in September, August of last year that we wanted to trim the team down a little bit. We wanted to get clear on our culture, on our vision, and who should be in the right seats on the bus. And we had some natural and some forced attrition over that time, but it wasn't a bad thing. It was the best thing ever. Some of those relationships are very strong to this day and left in a phenomenal manner. Others didn't, but they're both an opportunity for you to approach the future in a positive way. You are the one that will decide in your business if something is inherently good or inherently bad by the context and the perspective that you give it, which leads to the last tip. Out of the 4 tips that I learned, the last one was the most important. And that's why I do these segments. It was mindset. Everybody's mindset during the pandemic, during post-pandemic, during the pivot in the market really did set up what the next 9 months of their life was going to be like. I did not take my pedal off the gas. I worked harder in the last year than I ever have in the last 10 years of my career because I knew it was necessary. Even when it felt like the work I was doing was getting me nowhere, I had faith that it would, because the people that I was communicating with weren't going to buy in the next 3 to 6 months. The builders I was working with, the clients I was working with, I was communicating with them like, hey, nobody's buying this right now, but I'm working for you for 1 year from now. So don't forget the hundreds of hours and resources I'm putting in. making phone calls, getting educated, consulting with you on these projects, because in that 12-month time, when things start ramping back up, we will be able to make a massive impact on the marketplace. What I started realizing was your perception does really help form your reality, because it all trickles down from your mindset. The people around you, from your family to your coworkers to your clients, will start being impacted by the work that you're doing and be able to operate outside of the norms of the marketplace. And that's really where a lot of people want to get to. You want to take action in your business because you want to be different. You feel like there's more, you feel like there's growth, yet you don't know how to actually get there. The solution is exactly what I'm telling you. The solution is taking action. I don't care what business you're in. Drop it in the comments. I see Hamed is here. I see Dora Marie. I see Tanis. Ramon Ray, nice to see you. You're always so encouraging. Olivier Maurice, Sheila Santini. Like, every single one of these people is very different than Justin. Every single person in the Prime Nation may be very different from Justin. Sure, you may be in the same field that I'm in. Maybe you're in media. Maybe you're in real estate. But your world, right, your ecosystem is largely dependent on the actions that you take on a daily basis. So what are the very simple actions that you need to take in order to move the ball forward in your business? I'll give you my recipe. I have more in-depth videos on this channel. So if you want to hit subscribe or go back and watch the videos, you're more than welcome to. I overcomplicated my life for a very long time. I had massive checklists with, like, here's all the different things I need to do. There's only 3 things you really need to do in your business. And I learned this from my boy, my mentor, Ryan Serhant. I've got interviews with him on the Prime People podcast. I'll share that link in a second. Find, keep, and do. That's it. You need to prospect on a daily basis. So you need to find customers to work with. You need to keep working on your business. I call it builder time. He calls it keeper time. But 30 minutes a day, minimum, you need to sit down and you need to work on your business. And if you don't know what that is, it could be going through your financials and remargining your business. Do you need that Adobe account? Do you need all of those subscriptions that you're not actually using? If you haven't used it in a year, get rid of it. I just saved you some money. And then you need to do. You need to do the things that you promised your clients you would do in order to keep them happy and get more clients. Real estate agents are the worst for this. If you're a consumer watching this, have you ever called on a property and not gotten a call back? Have you ever interviewed an agent? They're like, I'm going to do this for you. And then they don't do anything for you. They set up a portal, expect you to find your own house, open the door, and get paid. That's why consumers hate us. So to structure that, what you're going to do is in your calendar, Monday to Thursdays, not on Fridays, because I want you to have the ability to have a 3-day weekend if your family wants it. You're going to put in your finder time, your prospecting time. But Justin, I don't know how to prospect. Keep it really simple. Grab your phone, start going through and adding people to something called a CRM and communicating with them on a regular basis. And it doesn't have nothing to do with your business. It could just be communication. Find out what they're working on, how you can help them, how you can connect them with other people in your community. Naturally, your work will come up in the conversation, or they'll ask you about stuff, or after 6 to 9 months, all of a sudden they'll start paying a lot closer attention to what you're doing. And you'll start getting those calls for business. Like I said, the work you are doing now is the work you're going to be doing in 60 to 90 days minimum, right? So start taking action today. Second thing is the keeper time. Like I said, pick one thing in your business. It could be remargining your business, looking at your expenses. I like the methodology of starting a Google document and calling it your operations manual. And then just putting a 1 dot and then write down, this is how I check my email. And these are the rules for how I sort my email. Then it's, this is how I do my prospecting time. And these are the steps that I do in my prospecting time. Then it's like, once I get the prospect, how do I do my appointment? The reason I'm having you build an operations manual is eventually, if you do this long enough and you put in the work, you have something you can actually sell. You have a real business, not something that's in your head and that just relies on you trying to repeat the pattern every single day. You have a system solution for a people problem that you are actually building a real business. And this is where I think a lot of people go wrong. The last piece is, how do you actually execute on all the business that you finally generated? I think the best way to do it is mind sweeping and time blocking. So every single day I have 2 time blocks. I'm going to do it right after this segment, where I dump everything in my brain on paper and then I put it in my digital brain. I use an app called Asana. You can use your checklists or reminders. You can use Trello. There's all kinds of free softwares out there, but you basically want to get it out of your brain, because you are a human and you are fallible, and put it somewhere where you can just sort it and you know it's taken care of and it doesn't take up energy or space. then you put it on your calendar. Then life simply becomes a pattern of looking at your actions and looking at your ambitions and constantly reviewing. I'm not telling you all this so that you have this crazy rigid structure and you feel like, well, I want to be fluid. I don't want to be so disciplined. I don't want to live such a rigid life. Discipline equals freedom. When you start doing this simple actions on a daily basis to achieve the ambitions that you tell yourself you want to achieve, you start feeling less overwhelmed. You don't have to think. Thursdays, I know, is media day. Never have to think about it. Prime People podcast is every Thursday, 1 to 2 p.m. Kim Walsh-Phillips was on yesterday, absolutely crushed it, taught a whole bunch about social media. There's no reason why you shouldn't go watch that. But I know that's where I have to be, and that's what I have to do at that time. The more you create a pattern, the more you can start living life by design. So more than anything, I actually want to know, who are you? What is the life that you want to live? What are the simple actions that you can do today that will move you forward towards your ambition? Your homework is to come back to this video or send me a DM on Instagram, because I will actually answer it myself, and tell me what that action is. I genuinely want to know. And if there's something that you think I know that could help you, communicate that with me. And I will literally shoot one of these videos for you. I do them every single Friday, 7 to 7:30 a.m. live. We will recut these videos. We'll send them out in my newsletter to make it super simple and tangible. The only thing I ask is that you put in the work, because I know if you do, the best version of yourself is hiding in there somewhere, and I want to meet that person. I appreciate you being here. I hope you enjoyed this segment. I'm here on this channel every Friday, 7 to 7:30. If you want to listen to me while you're driving around, the Prime People podcast is syndicated across all platforms. I just dropped the link in the chat. I will drop it in Clubhouse in a second. If you want to thank me for the segment, all you have to do is go over to that podcast, drop a rating and review. It is literally the only thing I ask, is that you share this with somebody that you think may appreciate it. I'm Justin Konikow. I am not for sale. I'm just here to give you everything that I know and hope that you find the best version of yourself. But I'll see you next week. See you guys.